welcome to 996 Howl for the uninitiated. This is an unedited YouTube vlog discussing everything Arizona Coyotes and what a finish to the season. Unfortunately, couldn't make it happen, making to dance into the postseason, into the playoffs, but they're the last Western Conference team in the race to be eliminated. And the Arizona Coyotes, they finished 9th in the West, just short of the Colorado Avalanche, who tore it up to end the season. I think they went 8-1-2 to close out the season, or 9-0-2 to close it out. Just a tremendous pace by Colorado, and a statement they stamped across the league to show that they deserve to be in the playoff spot. Unfortunately, Coyotes couldn't hold their own. They managed to hit a rut in that Eastern Conference road trip where they went 0-3-1, and if they got a win or two on that trip, it would have made a huge difference. And then with the final nail in the coffin against the LA Kings, who scored with 0.1 seconds left to tie the game up heading into the third period, was ridiculous. And then Kemper with that nasty injury that didn't turn out to be serious, but all in all, a great effort by the Coyotes. I want to get a review going about their season and how it went. It was a roller coaster of the season. So many changes, so many storylines, and so many injuries. I think we could all agree that I think we will never see a season like that with so many injuries, at least for the Coyotes. I think they've hit their quota of injuries for the next decade, I would say. But it all started with Ranta going down in late November, and they had a 5-game losing streak, including a Colorado thumping, and right after the Calgary thumping, John Shack had to pull the trigger and make a trade, sending Dylan Strome and Brendan Perlini to Chicago for Nick Schmaltz. Nick Schmaltz comes in, fits perfectly well right away, and he helps Keller as well. He helps the power play unit, and then he gets injured, and then a whole bunch of other guys get injured around the same period. Grabner, Richardson, Demers, just Hinostroza as well, and Galchenyuk missed training camp in the first 10 games of the season too. So the injuries were definitely a problem, but let's look at the positive. What they managed to do with all those injuries was grab the number one penalty killing stat across a whole league, which I was so skeptical of throughout the whole season. I thought they would fall down to earth sooner or later, especially with Grabner out and Richardson out at the same time. In hindsight, I really don't know how they pulled it off, but props to Mario Kempe, Richard Panik, Archibald, Lawson Krause, and the D-men, and Nicholas Hjalmarsson, OEL, Osterley stepping in, and Goligoski. To mention, Hjalmarsson played all 82 games, considering all the shot blocks he takes every night. So it's great to see Hjalmarsson play a full season, even after last season where he missed half the season. So we know he could be a healthy body in the Coyotes uniform, so hopefully that continues. Opposite of the penalty killing was the power play, which I think was embarrassing, atrocious throughout the whole season. 16.8% power play. Forgot to mention the penalty killing was around 80%, 83% for the tops in the league, but the power play was just abysmal to start the season. To start seeing they were missing Galchenyuk, and then once they got Galchenyuk back, they started to get him rolling. Then it went quiet, and they brought in Schmaltz, and he amped up the power play. Then he went down with an injury, and they couldn't really find that talent amongst all the injuries. There wasn't much talent to throw on the power play units. We saw Christian Fischer take a few turns on the power play. Connor Garland, who was great at retrieving pucks and going into corners, but not too much skill from him on the power play. And it never really got its footing. They always had trouble winning that initial face-off on the power play and then sustaining that O-zone time, and then trying to get back into the zone into a breakout was horrible to watch. So hopefully the coaching staff just look at that and see that they probably lost their season due to their power play not showing up and not getting those timely goals to either put teams down in a game or to get back into a game and make it easier on themselves. So that's one blaring issue for the Coyotes other than the 5-on-5 scoring, which has the same symptoms as a power play. No skill, a lot of injuries, and just, they can't put the puck in the net 5-on-5. They're the last place team in 5-on-5 scoring, and it continued from the start of the season when they didn't score in the first 2 games, and it continued to the end of the season where they were winning games 1-0 and 2-1, and they couldn't really score more than 2 goals, it seemed like, for most of the last few games, except for the Vegas game. So yes, scoring, a huge issue, something John Chayka could take a look at. Our free agents don't really look that disastrous compared to other teams or seasons. Our biggest UFA is Richard Panik, so maybe Chayka lets him walk and he grabs someone else with a similar goal scoring touch, or he holds on to Panik and then adds another player in free agency or looks through a trade avenue with our young players, but that's for another time. So who were our leading goal scorers and who were our outstanding and noticeable players this season? Brad Richardson and Alex Galchenyuk tied with the goal scoring lead with 19 goals. Right behind them was Hinostroza with 16. Hinostroza, one of the outstanding players I would see to come in and just grow every game and get better every game until the last 2 months of the season, where we just saw him with so much confidence, taking the puck with speed and making some nice elite dangling moves. And he finished off with 38 points, which is a career high, both in goals and assists. Another huge storyline was Connor Garland getting called up in late December and just turning around this team, showing the team what it takes to play that Rick Tocchet style hockey, where it's just speed and relentless forecheck and winning puck battles and retrieving pucks and getting into dirty areas in the goal crease, in the corners. And a lot of players, took note of that and started to really pick up their pace. Lawson Krause, Galchenyuk was scoring more goals around the paint, and it was a good, infectious style of play that Garland put on the team, instituted on the team. So that's great for Garland. I always thought he would just be a career AHLer and not really amount to anything in the Coyote system, much like a Laurent Dauphin or some of the other guys, like Alessio back in the Coyotes as well. That was a throwback name. Or Samuelson, who was always a touted prospect in the Dave Tippett years. But I'm surprised he came out and he scored 13 goals. He had 18 points, which he had more assists. He only had 5 assists, but 13 goals in 46 games is a team lead for goal scoring pace. So spread out in an 82 game season, he would have eclipsed 20 goals easily. Maybe got 22 or 23 goals. So good to see Garland get his offensive touch like he had in the Quebec Major Junior Hockey League, where he had over 100 points in his seasons. So good for Garland. Like I mentioned before, Lawson Krause had a career year with 11 goals and 25 points. He was a new man. I forgot he spent all of last year in the AHL with the Tucson Roadrunners, and I think that really helped him. He's hard on the body, hitting people, the most hits in Coyotes history since they started taking note of that stat. And his speed was so fast, so noticeable. His PK was great. He really meshed well with Josh Archibald, who had another career year with 13 goals and 22 points. Archibald scored some really timely and important goals for this club down the stretch. And him and Krause were great, paired with Derek Stepan. That was a great line. Tocchet threw in Dvorak in the mix nearing the end of the season, so we'll see where they land. And also, John Chaika needs to sign Josh Archibald. He's a restricted free agent. So I would say Chaika locks Archibald up just to have... He plays that Tocchet-style hockey, and a lot of players could learn a thing or two from him. And obviously the big one, Darcy Kemper, had a huge season, tremendous Vezina quality season with 27 wins, 20 regulation losses, and 8 overtime shootout losses. He had a .925 save percentage and a 2.33 goals against average. He had 5 shutouts, which was 5th in the league. So Darcy Kemper was like top 10 in every goalie stat. Top 3, top 5 in every goalie stat with a goalie who played 50 games or more. So I would say Kemper should be in the conversation for Vezina. Obviously, he's not going to win the trophy because he didn't make the playoffs, which is a sort of an unspoken rule amongst the major awards. But he had a tremendous season. When Ranto went down, I had no faith in Kemper taking the load, and I don't think anyone did, not even Rick Tocchet or John Chaika, but he did it, and he did it with a statement, and that was a great performance, a magical performance. I haven't seen a performance like that in a really long time, since Mike Smith in 2012. So it was a great season, a lot of ups and downs. They had a couple bad weeks of games that cost them the season. The week where Strome and Perlini were traded. The week coming out of the All-Star break and the bye week where they had a 5-game losing streak. Then that Eastern road trip where they lost 4 in a row. So those 3 weeks really cost them the season. And unfortunately, the Coyotes couldn't make it into the playoffs. But the rebuild is over. I said this last half of last season. But they're going to compete with teams now, compete for that spot. And teams are going to mark their games on the calendar and be like, this is a game we have to show up because the Coyotes are going to come hungry. They know what it takes now. They got to work hard and just every night there's points on the board. Now that they know that they've made it this far, starting next season, every game will be important and will matter because they need the points. And that's it, really. Disappointing players, I would say Clayton Keller, who I thought should have shown up more in the latter half of the season. I think he kind of ghosted the past 2 or 3 months. And Alex Galchenyuk, even though he led the team in scoring, tied with Brad Richardson, really thought he'd produce more. It's his lowest NHL point totals in his past 5 years. But hopefully next season, he starts off strong again and gets more confident with Nick Schmaltz in the mix. Hopefully he produces even more. I know I'm hard on Galchenyuk, but he came in to be a legit goal scorer and to get over 20 goals, maybe hit 25, and really be a shoot-first mentality player and drive this team. And I felt like he failed that, but there's always room for improvement, and next year I'm sure he'll hit that goal. And Clayton Keller needs to get back to his rookie season numbers and really just work on his game in the offseason and come back an elite skilled player with a teammate like Nick Schmaltz. Hopefully they could be a dynamic duo that they showed with brief glimpses throughout the season when Schmaltz was healthy. So yeah, I give this season a B+. It was really good, great to watch, entertaining down the stretch. It came down to the last 2 games of the season to be eliminated from playoff contention. Can't ask for more than that other than making the playoffs. So I'm glad. I'm happy for the team, happy for the players. They put in a great effort. I'm happy that the fans came out and showed support when they needed it. And when the Coyotes were winning, the fans showed up. So I don't think the Coyotes are in trouble in terms of a franchise location and relocation. I think that's out the window now. And they just got to make the playoffs the next season and really establish their game at home ice. They did that at the latter half of the season. They went like 10-2-1 to close out the season on home ice. So just continue that, make it a hard place to play, get better on the road, score more goals, and they should be fine for next season. So That's it for me. Thank you for your support all season, and I'll be making videos throughout the summer. So thank you everyone for your support.